Have you ever wondered how Bitcoin actually works? I know I did when my friend mentioned it a few years ago and started talking about mining and blocks. It sounded like some kind of crazy crypto magic trick. In this video, we peel back the layers to reveal exactly what makes it tick. And here's the surprising part. Once you understand how Bitcoin works, it's not that complicated. Let's start with something familiar. Think about a regular digital payment, like when you send money from your bank account to someone else online. You might use PayPal or Venmo, and behind those services lies an order book where buyers and sellers match up transactions. Now, imagine if we took all the complexity out of that system and just left the core idea. What if there was a digital ledger everyone could see and verify transactions on? That's kind of what Bitcoin is. It's a decentralized, public ledger called the blockchain where every transaction ever made with Bitcoin is recorded. But here's the key mechanism. To add new transactions, or blocks, to this ledger, you need to solve complex mathematical puzzles. These puzzle solvers are called miners, and they use powerful computers to do this work. Once a miner solves a puzzle, they get rewarded with some Bitcoin for their efforts. This process of adding blocks is what we mean by mining in the context of Bitcoin. So, in simple terms, transactions happen, miners solve puzzles, new blocks are added, and everyone can see on the blockchain because it's open to the public. It's like a giant global spreadsheet where every transaction is recorded for all time. So, you're probably wondering, how does Bitcoin actually work? Well, let's dive into the next part of our journey by exploring something called the blockchain. Think of it like a giant digital notebook that everyone can see and write in. Imagine if every time you went to the grocery store, they wrote down all your purchases in a big public book. Whenever someone buys or sells Bitcoin, it's recorded in this same kind of public book. But here's the amazing part. No one has control over that single book. Instead, there are many copies spread across different devices. This way, everyone can see if you bought an apple for 25 cents, and nobody can cheat by changing the record. Now, here's the surprise twist. To add a new purchase to this shared notebook, it takes some effort. People called miners use powerful computers to solve complex math problems. Once they solve one, the computer adds a new page to the book with all the latest transactions, and everyone's copies get updated automatically. This process is what we call mining, and it's the backbone of how Bitcoin stays secure. This system means that every Bitcoin transaction is like writing in this digital notebook, visible to everyone, but tamper-proof because many people are constantly verifying each entry. All right, so we got our digital ledger, but how does it actually turn into a blockchain? Well, think about a big spreadsheet that gets updated all the time. Let's call it a transaction log. Every time someone buys or sells Bitcoin, they make a new entry in this log. And just like how you might fill up an exercise book page by page, once one of these pages, we'll call them blocks, is full, we add another page to our log. Now, here's the cool part. When a block gets added, it gets stuck right next to all the other blocks that came before it. It's like building with Lego bricks. Each new brick locks onto the one below it, forming a never-ending chain. This is why it's called a blockchain. And here's the surprising bit. This chain of blocks makes sure no one can mess with past transactions. Once something gets written in a block, it stays there forever. It's like recording your birthday party on video. It can't be changed later. So, let's break that down even more simply. Imagine you and your friends are playing a game where everyone promises to show up at the park at 3 p.m. every Saturday. If someone tries to cheat and say they didn't promise anything, the whole chain of promises would still show what really happened. Because it's all written in those immutable blocks. And here's the surprising part. Miners are the superheroes that keep Bitcoin safe and secure. Think of them as the guardians who ensure everything is fair and honest on the network. In simple terms, miners perform a critical task. They validate transactions and add new blocks to the blockchain. It's like they're solving complex math puzzles. For every transaction on the Bitcoin network, a miner has to solve one of these problems to get permission to add a new block to the chain. The process works like this. Imagine you have a large room full of puzzle pieces. Each piece represents a transaction waiting to be added to the blockchain. The miners are like puzzle masters who work tirelessly to put together these pieces in the right order. They use their powerful computers and advanced algorithms to solve what's called a proof-of-work puzzle. Here's how it works. When someone sends Bitcoin, that transaction is broadcasted across the network. Miners collect these transactions into a new block. Then, they race against each other to solve this math problem, which is essentially proving their work by finding a specific number that meets certain criteria. The first miner to solve the puzzle gets the right to add the new block to the blockchain and gets rewarded with newly minted Bitcoin. And here's the cool part. Because multiple miners are working on the same puzzle at once, it's practically impossible for any single miner to cheat or manipulate the system. This is because even if a bad guy tried to tamper with transactions, he would need to solve the puzzle faster than all other miners combined. It's like trying to solve a massive jigsaw puzzle before everyone else. Impossible. Miners also play another crucial role. They ensure that every transaction on the network is valid and hasn't been double spent. Double spending happens when someone tries to spend the same Bitcoin twice, which would be like using your credit card at two different stores in the same minute. Miners make sure that doesn't happen by verifying each transaction individually. So, you see, miners aren't just adding blocks. They're keeping the whole system honest and secure. They're the real superheroes of Bitcoin. So far, we've talked about how miners are like the guardians of the Bitcoin network, validating transactions and keeping everything running smoothly. But there's another crucial aspect that most users don't think about as much: decentralization. Now, let's dive into why decentralization is important. Imagine you have a giant library where everyone contributes books, but no single person owns or controls it. That's kind of like Bitcoin. Unlike traditional banks, which are controlled by big corporations and governments, Bitcoin is decentralized. This means that no one individual or entity has control over the entire system. Instead, every participant in the network, whether they're miners, users, or just observers, has a say. Here's the surprising part. This decentralization makes Bitcoin incredibly secure. Just think of it like a big game where everyone is playing by the same rules. If any one player tries to cheat, there are thousands of others who can spot them and ensure fairness. This distributed approach means that no single point of failure exists. If one miner or node goes down, the network continues to function because it's spread out across many different computers. And here's why this matters for you as a user. When you use Bitcoin, you don't have to trust any single entity. There are no middlemen like banks who might freeze your account or charge high fees. Instead, you can send and receive payments directly with anyone in the world, as long as they accept Bitcoin. So while traditional financial systems rely on central authorities to keep everything running smoothly, Bitcoin operates differently. It's a bit like having a giant decentralized game where everyone plays by the same rules, making it incredibly secure and open for all. Decentralization is what makes Bitcoin truly unique and powerful. By understanding this concept, you can see why it's not just a currency, but also a form of technology that challenges traditional financial systems. All right, so now that we've peeled back the layers and looked at how Bitcoin truly works under the hood, how it's built on a decentralized ledger and verified by a global network of computers, let's talk about why some people are really excited about its potential. First off, think about any bank or financial institution you know. They have this centralized system where everything goes through one entity, right? But with Bitcoin, there's no single point of failure. It's like having a library where everyone can write and read the book together, but nobody owns it all. This makes it incredibly secure and resistant to manipulation. And here's the surprising part. This isn't just an idea for money. Bitcoin is actually a technology that could revolutionize many areas beyond finance. For instance, imagine using Bitcoin for voting in elections, ensuring every vote counts and can't be tampered with. Or consider supply chain management, where every transaction can be tracked and verified without needing a central authority. But what really excites people about the future of Bitcoin is its potential as an internet-native currency. It's not just tied to any one country or government. It operates on the internet itself. Imagine being able to send money anywhere in the world instantly, without having to worry about exchange rates or fees. That might sound a bit utopian now, but with innovations like Layer 2 solutions and sidechains, these possibilities are getting closer. Of course, there are still challenges like scalability issues and energy consumption. But the tech community is working hard on solutions to address these problems. In fact, some of the most exciting projects in cryptocurrency involve finding ways to make Bitcoin even more efficient and user-friendly. So, why do people get so excited about Bitcoin's future? It's because it has the potential to change how we think about money and transactions fundamentally. Just like the internet changed communication or smartphones change how we interact with information, Bitcoin might be on the verge of doing something similar for finance.